Welcome back to the Global Business Report here on Arise News. Try to look at some other news. Of course, everything's still being dominated by those protests. But on a lighter note, Universal Music Group has acquired a majority stake in Lagos, a Nigeria-based music company, Maven Global Music. Now, UMV, of course, describes this Maven as a driving force behind many of the continent's Afrobeats artists. We don't have details on exactly what the amount of funds are involved in this deal, but the sources we spoke with said it was about $80 million. We don't have the exact stake, but we took an assumption that it was a 55% stake. That would value Maven at $145 million. We've got the creative industries entrepreneur, Olisa Adibua, with us to talk about this, but also about the protests. So, Olisa, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
Before we get to the music, they were playing music at the protests.
Yes.
And they were singing.
You can't do without music.
What do you make of what we're seeing across the country right now?
It's good that people are speaking out, as long as things are being done orderly fashion, and it's very important for the government to listen. I don't think I've been working in Nigeria now for a couple of decades. Things have never been this bad. It's sometimes the economy has been down and it's affected one or two people, but there are some other people who are living in a bubble. But I think this time around, it's affected everybody, no matter how rich you are. No matter how successful your business is thriving. It's very important that people listen, and the government has to be listening and to take action to what people are saying. Because if it don't, it makes it as if they're insensitive, they don't know what they're doing, and they don't care. And they need to, because people are really now, Nigeria, we're very elastic.
Yep.
We adjust our bells, we adjust. This one comes, prices go up, we adjust again, we adjust. But I think we've reached a point where
you can't adjust anymore. There's a breaking point.
Now it's time for the government to understand that people are desperate, they're angry, and you get more phone calls from people now asking you for help. And before, people will be maybe ashamed to ask for help, but now you're getting people who have jobs, people who are successful, and it's not help to do anything, any major projects or to buy luxury stuff. It's just to survive day-to-day living, whether it's petrol, whether it's diesel, whether it's food, whether it's school fees, whatever it is, hospital bills, medical bills. It's like a perfect storm of the worst part.
There was a skit. I have to be very careful with my language. There was a skit by a South comedian.
Right.
She was basically playing a lady of the night, right? And she had charged this man for her services, and he didn't have enough money to reach in. So she asked him to give her gari and rice to make up for the payment. So in terms of the food issues that we're facing right now, lack of in the cost and everything, it's even in comedy skits. I mean, what we are seeing in Nigeria right now, to where you're saying, if you can't pay me for this, then compensate me with rice, gari, because I don't have food at home. It's everywhere.
That's how it started, but that's how commerce started in Africa, globally.
Yeah.
It was barter deals, But right now, what has to happen is that there has to be some sort of confidence to restore the confidence amongst the people, because what we've seen for the last 6 months of this government has been some sort of confusion. Somebody will come out with some decree or law or whatever on Monday. By Wednesday, there's a U-turn. So you need to give people confidence that the government knows what they're doing. Let them understand that people have to believe that they have the answers to the problems. And the problems are plenty. I mean, Nigeria is, I don't know why somebody want to be president of Nigeria. It is the most thankless job in the world. It's a poison chalice. But once you take it on, there's no hiding place. You have to run with it. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Right,
so you have to. So I don't know what the answers are right now. I've seen the government scrambling, bringing people together, different committees. I've heard the thing about the reducing all the government parastatals, the report yesterday.
The report,
yes, great idea, long overdue. That report was done in 2013. So why is it now? How many years later? Almost like
over a decade
later.
But
we gotta, the government has to respond, and not just with words. Action. That's what's needed.
Okay, you know what? I want to link this to the music industry because we had a gentleman, Punariman Benjamin, who is in Abuja. There was a sign behind her where a Labour guy union member was holding up a sign saying, "Save the Naira." Also, reduce job losses and boost industries. So the music industry, just to try to link this together now, what do you make of the Maven deal with UMG now? What do you make? I guess on both sides, how do they benefit?
Well, it's not the first time that Maven are getting foreign investors.
Yeah.
This is like the second round, or there was a foreign investor a few years ago, before, I think 4 or 5 years ago, before the pandemic, the lockdown. So Mavin are big up to Don Jazzy and also to Tega as well. They've been very intentional. You know, the first phase of Mavin was just, the investors were local.
Yeah.
Then the second phase, there was some foreign investment came in, and that took them to another level. Now they've teamed up with the biggest record label on the planet, Universal Group. So now it's about, Mavin has always been, notice the company's name.
Yeah.
That company was registered many years ago.
Yeah.
It's called Mavin Global.
Right.
So that thinking has been there, but they're in a position to make it become a reality. They'll be looking at going across Africa, maybe East Africa, Southern Africa, getting artists, going across Europe, the diaspora, America, getting artists, and not just expanding in the music, but also looking at other sectors of creative economy, film and television, touring. So now they have opportunity now to bring the next generation of artists on board. So it's a great move. It's clever. It's not the first being done by anybody. I mean, we've seen Chocolate City and Warner, YBNL and Empire. And there've been other deals done like that, but they've been smaller. Maybe labels and also distribution companies have done deals with international labels. But this is probably one of the biggest ones so far, and I'm looking forward to it because it will now help make them comfortable to invest. Because the problem we've had right now before is a lot of the labels want that ready-made product. They want you to have a viral moment, then they sign you. Because they don't have to worry about the marketing and the promotion because you're already out there. So now, Maven has always done it. They always had the incubator where there's artists that you and I don't know about now that maybe in the next 6 months they'll be big because they're coming out. They've been there for 12 months, 18 months and working with the songwriters, producers. So now, Maven can go Maven Global.
I'm showing my age, but when I look at Bad Boy Records, Death Row Records, the stable of artists, P. Diddy, Notorious B.I.G., Mace, The Lox on the Bad Boy side, on Death Row, Tupac, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Warren G, and so on. The act of, because I think there was a recap that Maven did where they looked at 2023 and they had their roster of artists. So, of course, Rema had a big year, Arya Starr had a big year, but then you still got Magix, Crayon, and a number of other artists there. Is that the formula? Because is it by can you get a solid roster with planning, or is it by luck as to who blows up?
No, I mean it's not an exact science. If it was, everyone would be doing it. Anything creative is subjective. So you can't say you cannot say, oh, this is going to be a big hit movie or hit record because so and so is on it. You can bring the best songwriter, best producer, and the greatest singer or rapper on board a song, and it will still not go anywhere. There's no guarantee. But what you do is that when you sign the best people, when you look at the talent and you see the gaps in the market, you have to be intentional about who you sign. Who is that artist gonna talk to? Who's gonna buy that music? Who's gonna be interested? Singer, rapper? Who is he talking to? Is he talking to millennials, Gen Z? Is he or she talking to an older crowd? So they've always been intentional, and they brought the next generation through. And right now they're in transition, not just with this deal with Universal, but also with the artists coming through. So there's a new crop coming through now, and it's time to establish them. But also, I know that they've got more waiting.
Yeah.
So now with that kind of security from this deal, they can now sit back and take their time and pick the best of the best from around Africa, from around the world, and go nuclear, and then diversify to other areas and sectors. Like I said,
I got to link this back to the protests, right? Since people are talking about jobs. The federal government yesterday, Wale Edu, Minister of Finance, announced that they'll be paying youth unemployment benefits.
Right.
You know, we'll see how they put the register and they do all that. How do we create more jobs for young people in the music industry? Do we need more Mavens and more chocolate cities and more YBLs and so on? How do we get, because, the reason why I ask whether this is an outlier, Don Jazzy established this label, 2012? Or, they've been there for a while, they've created value, it's not easy. Can we get more jobs in music for this youth that the government wants to pay unemployment benefits? So is it a talent thing?
The first step is to train people, skills acquisition, empowerment.
Not everyone's a singer.
Yeah, the music industry or the creative economy is so huge. You don't have to be a singer. You don't have to be a writer or rapper. There's room for everybody, no matter how small or limited your talent is. You could be a choreographer, you could be a designer, an illustrator, you could be the one who loads up the music.
So, Olisa, what are the jobs?
So now, what we need is, last time I was here, I mentioned about funding.
Yep.
Now, we are getting investments from outside the country, from Europe and America. This deal is just the beginning.
Yeah.
There are other deals that are going to happen this year. Conversations are being had on a global level, because majors, Warner, Sony, Universal, are looking at the continent. There's a big drive to acquire, to license catalogs, to buy existing labels across the continent. What we have to do is to encourage the local investor to come on board. That is when it becomes much wider. Because what we're seeing is pockets of investment, and they're going to be cherry picking the best of the best, the best distros, the best labels, the best artists. We need it to be a wider pool. And the same clarion call I've been talking about, I've been shouting about it from the rooftop, is get the local investor. If the smartest man in the music industry, Mr. Sir Lucien Grange, to give him his full title, is ready to put money in Nigeria and Africa, then you should say, okay, if this guy knows what he's doing.
And he's outside the country.
And he's outside. He's sitting in his office in Los Angeles, and he knows that there's money in them hills in Nigeria. There's gold in them hills. So he's going to say, let me get in there. The local investors, the entrepreneurs here should be getting involved. And not just getting involved, diversify. Don't just go with the Afrobeat. There's so many different genres of music, so many things that are going on in the music industry. You can invest in distribution companies, in record labels, in TV stations, radio stations, in event centers, anything, all along the whole value chain of the industry. There's opportunity there. Don't hang about, get in there.
Olisa Adibua, we got to go back to the protest. I thank you for taking the time to talk to us about this deal and what it means for Nigeria's economy. Olisa Adibua, creative industries entrepreneur, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.